The Whistler Ice Race is what we are now doing in the Pro Rally events. Well, hard rally events more specifically, but you get the point. And this time, I think what we'll use next, let's use the, once I can find it, here it is. So we are going to use the Ford Escort Cozzy for our next event, the Whistler Ice Race. And well, because I'm convinced in saying this was the same model that was driven by Juha Kankkunen during the 98 season, I figured I might as well drive this thing. As we're now heading over to Ford, and of course, well, I am gonna get the snow tyres, because our next two events are, coincidentally, snow events. That's why I'm buying those, and before we do anything else, we also need the turbo. I'm convinced in saying this will be similar to what we did last time with the Toyota. My throat is having a really hard time of trying to stay cleared right now, but I think that should be everything we need. So, here we go with event number 4 in the hard rally events, as we are now doing the Whistler Ice Race. Good traction has the advantage over simply high power. That's why I chose this thing. Okay, let's go. And what do you know, we have the same Evo 7 again. This could get interesting. However, I am hopeful in saying that this car will not have quite as much drag as what the Toyota had before. And just before we get on with this, it might be optional for me to check and see what the downforce setting is. Yeah, maximum on both sides. So, I'm going to lower this down to 15 on the rear and down to 11 on the front, just in case. I know this probably isn't needed, but considering the absolute cesspool I went through last time at Grand Canyon just trying to win the first race, it's better for me to not leave anything to chance. Especially since I do score more points this time compared to last time. Even though I am convinced in saying I should have adjusted the transmission as well before going into this. Fortunately, however, this race is a lot shorter. Seriously? Honestly, I feel like there are just some areas where the penalties are fair, but other areas where I do actually feel as though the penalties are just a little bit harsh. Not by much, but just by a little bit. I think the penalty system in some areas can be just a little bit harsh. Fortunately, however, this car does have more acceleration than what the Celica did, so hopefully we should be okay. And if it's possible, this car will not be as much of an oversteery beast But I can certainly say it makes me faster on the... But I can certainly say in the grand scheme of things it does make me faster. By just a little bit. And yes, I am using the outside wall again to see if I can gain time. I feel like my car wouldn't be as fast if I feel like my car wouldn't be quite as punchy if I didn't remove the downforce. But I am convinced in saying that that's what's helping me to keep up with the Super Evo. Yes, that was also necessary. Just in the grand scheme of things, and knowing about just... because of just how much of a cesspool Grand Canyon was last time, I was not prepared to leave anything to chance with my settings. And that was why I figured in the grand scheme of things it was just a lot easier for me to quite simply just go with the much simpler tactic of simply removing the downforce there and then. And as a result of me removing the downforce, the results are already speaking for themselves. So it's obvious to say that what I have done with this car, in spite of me cheating here and there, it has proved to be working. At least in the short term. Which is kind of where I want to be. So, I am 2 seconds up on the Evo 7. Hopefully I can manage to maintain that lead. I have established you do have to be more aggressive with the hard rally events compared of course to the prior rally events. And I think it's fair to say that this time around we seem to be doing okay. And there we go, victory in race 1 on my first try, using the Ford Escort Kazi. Good run, good run. And certainly a much easier time for me to get used to the car compared to what transpired before. But either way, against all the odds, we won. So now, let's move on to race 2. But before then, let's get the replay. Because I'm convinced in saying that I will be able to get more shots on the forward course compared to the reverse course. So this to me feels like an easier option. So that's what I'm doing. Okay. That's now done, so let's move on now to the reverse race. I think the second race just got easier because we are now up against the Toyota Corolla. Plus another thing that comes as an advantage is we're both using cars from the same year, 1998. But either way, here we go. And this time the points we get are significantly less than what we had the first time around, so that tells me this is going to be possibly easier than the previous one. And I say possibly because, well, I know of course that even point scores in this game from time to time can be deceiving. But then again, that's why I personally prefer to not leave anything to chance. As I'm more or less off to the start I expected. But you know what? I think that's an okay thing. Because it means that I have more shots to get around him, and believe it or not, that's precisely what I do. I get round the 98 Corolla. And now that I've done that, I can basically just roll away with the lead, I hope. Or at least hold on to the lead, that is. Because again, as I said before, I am using the Ford Escort Cosy. Which in other words is basically the rally car variant to the Ford Escort RS Cosworth. A hot hatch that I very much love, and for want of a better phrase, I still continue to love. Because of just how influential I think the Escort Cosy has been on me personally. Well, that aside from the Ford Mustang SVT, which is one of the reasons why I fell in love with Ford in the first place, but fuck my ass. And there goes my lead. God, my voice does not want to stay in position right now. Might just be because I ate an apple, but truth is, I'm having a really hard time just trying to get my voice in place. I was also not paying attention to the oversteer that probably sent me into the wall. I'm so glad I got away with that. Again, these are the hard rally events, so to be fair, you do have to be more aggressive in order to clear the AI here. And I gotta say, the Corolla is doing a pretty good job of keeping up with me. He's not letting me waltz away with this thing. He is keeping up with me, and I will give him credit for that. Although then again, that partially comes down to rubber banding, but then again, I still think the points are deceiving, but the truth is, this race is not as easy as it looks. I mean, yeah, sure, I have led this race for most of the way, but it's not been basically a full-gone deal for me to say that I was gonna stay in the race lead. It was honestly far from honest for me to believe that this was going to be a walk-away win, because it wasn't. I still figured it was going to be challenging, but what amazes me is just how much easier it felt compared to racing the Evo 7, or somewhat similar to racing the Evo 7. But anyway, 1.7 second win in the end, and 15 minutes later, I have sweeped the Whistler Ice Race. So that was, to put it simply, very easy indeed. And we already have a replay saved, so yeah. Whistler Ice Race is sweeped, and that took me just 15.5 minutes to get there. So what car are we going to win this time? We get the Nissan Bluebird rally car from 1969. I gotta say, this car looks nice. It really does. I couldn't tell you about the history of this car, but I think it looks nice. Personally. It's definitely earned its spot on the map in my opinion. But there we go. The Whistler Ice Race is a sweep. We were 46.0% complete with the game heading into this event, and I think we're going to be either 46.3 or 46.4% complete heading into the next one. We are 46.3% complete now, and let's try and find our Bluebird, if it's in here. Here it is underneath the Lupo. The Nissan Bluebird 1600 Triple S Rally Car. From 1969. Nice. I gotta say, that race at the ice arena, it was so much easier than what I went through at Grand Canyon. What a difference one event makes. Anyway. So we are now 46.3% complete with the game, and we are 3.7% away from reaching 50%. So, next up is the Chamonix Rally.